Is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Okay. Good afternoon and welcome to Integration Partners Microsoft Enterprise Mobility Suite webinar. I'm Patrick Keating, an account executive at our Lexington, Mass headquarters, and it's my pleasure to be your moderator today. Please note that the webinar is being recorded. I'll facilitate Q&A from the questions tab, but I'll kindly ask that everyone hold their questions until the end. It's my pleasure to introduce our presenters. Eric Rupp is Microsoft Solutions Lead. He's hailing from Indiana. Eric's expertise on Microsoft Cloud Solutions has resulted in his designation as a P-seller. This means he's badged as a Microsoft employee and leveraged for his exceptional technical capabilities by Microsoft in pre-sales motions. Nate Stewart is our account executive from Tennessee. Nate is a Microsoft expert as well and has been an enterprise seller for Dell in the past. We're excited to have you for what's going to be just 1 hour, but it'll be action-packed with great content. So I'll ask Nate to take it right away, and I'll look forward to coming back for Q&A at the end. Nate, it's all yours.
Thank you, Patrick, and good morning, everyone. So we wanted to start out with just a brief company overview on who we are. Integration Partners was a company that was founded in 1999 out of Lexington, Massachusetts. Since that time, we've grown to over 300 employees. We're a $166 million company. We specialize in networking, security, voice, and a Microsoft practice. Out of that conversation, due to security, this is kind of a fitting niche for us that we're getting into mobile device management, end-user management, rights management, and identity management. So today we're going to take some time to overview the EMS platform, the Enterprise Mobility Suite from Microsoft. Again, as Patrick reiterated, we are going to have Q&A at the end of the webinar, but please feel free to queue up those questions in the questions tab. All right, so let's get started. So today's IT reality is that everything is mobile and cloud driven. So we wanted to introduce a couple of facts that we now face as IT organizations. First, over 75% of network intrusions are due to exploited, weak, or stolen credentials. We find this in many of the headlines that we read about from large organizations that have been dealing with intrusion. A lot of times that's because we as IT professionals don't necessarily enforce the best prevention and policies, and more importantly, we as users sometimes are a little lax in our security practices. Two, 80% of employees admit to using non-approved applications in their daily job, whether that be Box.com, Facebook, YouTube, whatever the case may be. A lot of what we see as a result of that is what we refer to as shadow IT, things that happen inside of our network that we don't necessarily have visibility to at real-time scenarios. And three, 15%, by the end of 2016, only 15% of large organizations will even have enough mobile security governance and policies in place to really protect us against a way more advanced attack policies that are happening across the web on a day-to-day basis. So the question on slide 3, is it possible to even keep up? Keeping applications up to date, making sure your employees, business partners, customers, and devices all have access to proper data, but still remain locked down in the event of the aforementioned stolen credentials or even a stolen device. A lot of us are feeling pressure from hiring millennials and attracting new talent to kind of relax some of our stringent no Facebook, no social networking, lockdown policies of the past. So the question is it possible to stay secure while still opening the doors to some areas of the internet? Preventing and monitoring stolen credentials, can we cover lost devices, data leaks, and compromised identities? So our thought is IT cannot afford to live in the past. Many of you, I'm sure, are being tasked with more responsibilities and fewer human resources at your disposal. We even call that the new economy, doing more with less. Successful businesses of today, and tomorrow for that matter, realize the power of mobility to support employee productivity and collaboration. You need to prepare to mitigate the risk of providing freedom and space to your employees to be able to work from anywhere, but again, without relaxing our stringent standards. You need to meet compliance and regulatory standards and maintain company security policies and requirements, and more importantly, to detect threats, all while giving workers a better and more productive experience. You need an enterprise mobility partner that can help you achieve all of this so that everyone's a winner and your business stays out of the headlines.
Thanks, Nate. This is Eric, and I just wanted to talk about what Microsoft's vision is. Really, Microsoft's vision is to empower users to be productive on the devices that they love while keeping the company safe. Their vision includes management, protection, and identity across 4 key layers: users, devices, applications, and data.
So mobility tools are often point solutions that tend to address specific security needs. But even multiple point solutions are still very disjointed and disconnected from one another, and it leaves cracks. So Microsoft believes that you should have an integrated mobility solution that provides security across multiple layers. You should have a comprehensive set of tools that use identity as the central control plane, provide that visibility and insights required to quickly pinpoint and resolve issues or threats, and to simplify the mobile device and application management experience.
So let's take a look at the Microsoft EMS solution and what we're discussing today. The first thing that we'll discuss is identity-driven security and why that's the new paradigm. We'll also be talking about managing mobile productivity, so allowing your users to do the things that they need and want to do on the devices that they love while keeping the data secure. And third, we'll be talking about why we feel EMS is the most comprehensive and best solution for the job. So first, let's talk about the identity-driven security. So identity is the new control plane for security and management. And the reality is organizations that I've talked to, as they have in the past relied upon building a perimeter around all of the data and applications that users use, are really struggling in the world of how do I still protect the data in a world where the perimeter has disappeared. For a long time, if people wanted access to work documents, they had to use something that extended the perimeter to them, a VPN, for example. But more and more data is now moving from behind the perimeter out into the cloud with SaaS applications, and organizations really need a way to embrace that and ensure that their users can be productive while keeping their data secure. With identity as the new control plane, we can create a single set of credentials for each worker, which makes it easy for IT departments to apply identity-based security measures.
Excellent. So remember that statistic from earlier where we said that more than 75% of network intrusions are due to exploited or weak or stolen credentials. So by allowing those login credentials to become the centerpiece of unlocking your network, then how do we make sure that that experience is locked down? Here's an even more troubling statistic. The average time that it takes for IT to identify someone that is in the network is 200 plus days. That's the average amount of time that attackers reside within your network until they're detected. And they're gathering classified data and information, and they're waiting to strike at just the right moment. So Microsoft has tools to help you identify breaches and threats using behavioral analytics, and it provides a clear, actionable report on a simple attack timeline.
Thanks, Nate. So let's take a look at what the reality is today. I'd like to introduce you to 2 people. Let's call her Susie on the left here. She's a marketing manager that we hired maybe a year or 2 ago. And Dave, the IT director, on the right. So Susie has many apps and many different identities that she has to contend with. Some identities that maybe Dave has given her for an on-premise identity to get access to company resources, files, email, that sort of thing. But she's also created some identities out in the cloud to be able to share with her team. So, maybe she's created a Dropbox account that she wants to share, files and data with the rest of her team. She's also created other cloud identities for SaaS applications that Dave is aware of, but may not have direct control of. And really that's the crux of what we call shadow IT today, is that Dave, the IT director, can't manage what he doesn't know about. And really what happens to all that company data information when Susie leaves the company or starts a new position. So the current identity reality that companies face, it looks a lot like this picture. We've got on-premises. Sorry, guys. I was trying to get rid of my taskbar there. Okay, so we've got on-premises identities. We've got managed devices that companies manage. We've got a lot of bring your own device. A lot of organizations allow people to bring their own device, and people really want to be able to work from home. They also have a lot of these SaaS applications that they've subscribed to, and they have different identities for all of these, and it's really kind of a mess, and it's really difficult, if not impossible, to manage. So IT really needs a better identity solution. IT, as Nate said, has had to do more with less for probably the last decade, if not longer. And Dave, the IT director, doesn't really want to be spinning up a separate identity layer for every new application that gets onboarded. So current mobile device and identity management solutions are very siloed and often cause users to create workarounds, like emailing a company document to her personal email so that she can work on it from home, or use outside SaaS applications like Dropbox for file sharing with the rest of her department. This is where integrating with Azure AD Premium and identity as the new control plane have huge advantages. It allows you to sync on-premises identity with what you already have, with your Active Directory, with Azure AD Premium. And now Susie is able to use her single company identity to log in on all of those on-premises and cloud applications. It really makes it easier on Dave, the IT director, too, to assign SaaS app licenses and keep Susie's identity safe. Now the user is completely mobile, regardless of what device she uses, and the company can use, and she can use company data anywhere that she chooses, while Dave can ensure that the data is safe. Here's a picture of kind of just a few of the SaaS integrated applications that are available in the Microsoft App Marketplace. There are actually over 2,500 SaaS integrated apps within the Marketplace. And these are very easy to leverage via single sign-on and that single identity once you've integrated with Azure AD. I'll give you an example. If we wanted Susie to have access to the company Twitter account, for instance, there's a single username and password for that Twitter account. Rather than sharing that with her and her department, Dave can actually set that up in the background where he is aware of what the username and password is, and then allow Susan and her staff to log in with their company credentials and be able to post marketing messages out to their clients via that Twitter application. So that's really powerful. It also ensures that all access is removed when people leave or change roles. It reduces the number of accounts that we use, and you can secure access with multi-factor authentication, additional password policies, and it prevents data leakage. And there are some other important benefits that will save Dave and his staff a lot of time. Once you integrate, the users get a lot of self-service experiences. One would be like a self-service password reset in case they lose their password, or if they want to reset their password. Susie can also manage group memberships for her and her staff. So she can manage access to her department's documents and SaaS applications. Like, for instance, that Twitter account that we just talked about. She can give access to people within her department that need access to that Twitter account. So she can manage that herself. It also gives users a My Apps portal, and she doesn't have to be an administrator on the company hardware to install any of these applications. Dave can publish these applications out to a portal, and Susie can consume those on any device that she chooses. And all of this is possible without IT having to intervene on her behalf. Some other benefits are multi-factor authentication for new devices. So if Susan wants to enroll a new device, she can actually enroll it from multi-factor authentication from another trusted device. Dave also has the ability to search those devices that have been enrolled, what's called SaaS application discovery. So he can discover what other applications are being used with company data and actually take ownership of those applications and company data that maybe Susie set up, kind of on the side. He can also set policy controls and conditional access, and I'll get into conditional access in just a few minutes. So with these changes, whether you make these changes or not, identity is really the primary attack vector. So you really need to protect it. So as Nate said, how long would it take you to notice that someone's identity has currently been compromised in your environment? Typically that's 200 days or more. With EMS, you have the ability components within EMS have login and access telemetry. It basically saves information on the who's logged in, what's being accessed, what kind of device is accessing the information, and where is this information, or where was this access being requested from. The reason that that's important is that abnormal user behavior can be immediately surfaced and reported to Dave, and he can force multi-factor authentication on Susie's account if he feels the account has been compromised. So if Susie logs in from San Francisco, say for instance, at 9 p.m. tonight, and at 9:30 p.m. tonight she logs in from Hong Kong on a device that's unknown, Dave will immediately know about that and either force a password change or force multi-factor authentication so that he can protect her identity and the company assets. Nate, I'll throw it over to you so you can kind of recap some of the things we just talked about.
Absolutely. So again, enabling that identity as the new control plane requires world-class foundational identity and access management capabilities. And we think that honestly Microsoft has extended those offerings to provide you with a powerful set of cloud-based identity and access management solutions on Azure Active Directory. So Microsoft's identity and access management strategy includes capabilities, again, like one common identity to centrally manage all the identities across your on-prem data center and the cloud with a mobile device management software solution, providing secure, emphasis on secure, single sign-on to all of your applications. It also provides a single identity to help simplify the management of identities for end users with self-service password reset and application access requests for directories in the data center and in the cloud, again, both on-prem and off. This integrated identity provides the foundation for improved security by enforcing rules-based multi-factor authentication for both, again, on-premise and cloud-based applications. So having an integrated identity provides the foundation for identity-driven security. And this integration enables single sign-on across thousands of pre-integrated apps, easy connection to those existing assets. It also provides, Azure AD also enables a unified experience across devices. So we want to make sure to emphasize that this is also used in both iOS and Android, as well as, of course, Windows devices. So manage everything. Azure AD supports dynamic creation of groups based on information about users such as department. The sales department may need a different profile than the executive department. Also easily provision new users into Azure AD from existing HR systems. You can collaborate with business partners with business-to-business collaboration. As far as self-service capabilities, users can update passwords, they can join and manage groups, all via the My Apps portal, saving your IT help desk a lot of time and a lot of money. So let's overview real quick. As far as improving security, how are we going to protect the users? We have that using multi-factor authentication and leaked credentials reporting, which Eric hinted at earlier, and we'll get into more a little bit in a minute. We also want to introduce some of the intelligent analysis tools. Microsoft has put a lot of emphasis and money, for that matter, into machine-based learning. and that provides us with a lot of security reports. We're going to give you a high-level overview of that today, but we want these webinars to essentially become a series, and we could practically spend an entire hour just on machine learning and advanced threat analytics, which we will again get to later. The third piece is guarding of the apps. We want to define conditional access, and Eric's going to spend more time on that in a minute, and how we enable secure remote access. So Eric, I hand it to you.
Excellent. What I'd like to go over now is Microsoft Security Solution Stack. It really provides a comprehensive framework for your company assets across your data center, your cloud, and your mobile devices. So each component has its own benefits, and I'll explain a few of those. And like Nate said, we would really like to take a deep dive in later webinars in each one of these components. First, I'll start out with Microsoft Advanced Threat Analytics. It really helps IT detect threats and provide forensic investigative reporting. So it checks for those that anomalous behavior that Nate was talking about, and surfaces that information easily. Azure AD Premium Security reports help you identify risky logins, and Azure AD Identity Protection can help you automatically block access based on real-time telemetry data. Kind of like I explained earlier, when someone logs in halfway across the globe within half an hour, you know something's wrong. You can set protection to automatically block access based on that telemetry data. Intune is another component that has the ability to manage and secure data on mobile devices while giving users the freedom to work. And something new that's with Intune is you have the ability to enroll the devices, or you can manage those applications on those devices without even enrollment. And that's a huge thing, because sometimes users have a real apprehension for enrolling personal devices. And lastly, I'll touch on Azure Rights Management. Really, Azure Rights Management gives you the ability to encrypt and secure your data wherever it goes in motion. So if you want to email and share information with another company, a business partner, somebody like that, you can encrypt the data, protect it, view who is opening it, who is where they're accessing it from, and you can actually view reports based on all of this telemetry data and rescind access to those documents and assets if it becomes necessary. So a little deeper into Microsoft Threat Analytics. In traditional security tools, you get this constant reporting, and you have to sift through these reports to locate the relevant alerts, and that can really be overwhelming. With Microsoft ATA, the attack timeline is very clear. It's efficient, and you can get a convenient feed that surfaces the right things on a timeline. It gives you a perspective on the who, what, when, and how. ATA also provides recommendations for investigation and remediation for suspicious activity. Again, it really covers areas like behavioral analytics. It also detects malicious attacks nearly instantaneously. It alerts for known security issues and risks, possibly patches that are missing, that sort of thing, and allows you to focus on what's important using simple attack timelines. So next, I'd like to cover conditional access. Conditional access, you can set policies for conditional access to applications, resources, and other self-service tools. And what do I mean by conditional access? Let's use email as an example. Email is probably the primary tool that users would like to use on their personal devices. And you can provide that access, and you can set certain criteria for access to these resources. So if we look at this flow chart, the first thing that this particular policy checks is the device or user targeted by a conditional access policy? The reason that this is important is because sometimes we have executive users that want to be exempted from a conditional access policy. If they're not targeted by a conditional access policy, they're immediately given access to the service. Next is kind of the reverse of that. You can include everyone, and then you can actually exempt devices and users and other collections from a conditional access policy. The next thing in the flow is this device managed by Intune? You can require that the device is actually managed. And if it is required to be managed and it's not, it can be blocked. It can block access to the service. But it can also give users a very clear linear flow to actually get their device into compliance and managed by the company. And the last thing that it checks is the device compliant with any of the deployed compliance policies? What that means is I can set policies like, is the device jailbroken? Does the device have a PIN? Is the device encrypted? That sort of thing. So those policies can be checked against what I'd like to have to give users access to the resource. So in this particular example, I'm going to show you what conditional access looks like for Exchange Online. I've got a user that requests access from a personal device, and they attempt to make an email connection to Office 365. Office 365 will check with Azure Active Directory or your on-premise Active Directory to see if the device is currently managed and compliant. If it's not, it returns, well, regardless of whether it is or it isn't, it returns a device state to Office 365. If it's not compliant, it pushes the device into quarantine and offers the user an email or a link to remediation steps and a link to enroll the device with compliance and remediation steps. The enrollment then takes place, and the Intune application, the company application that I'm about to show you, will check the device for compliance and offer the user remediation steps to get the device enrolled. Once the device is enrolled, it then tells Azure Active Directory, hey, I am now setting the device as a compliant, and I am going to, and then Office 365 then notifies the device that email access is granted. So what I'd like to do right now is actually demonstrate what that flow looks like from a user perspective. I've got a couple different devices here, and the device on the left is a device that is not enrolled, and I'm going to fire up my Outlook application on my Android device, and I'm going to, today my name is Garth. So I'm going to go into my tenant here and attempt to get access to my Exchange Online email. And what it's going to take me into a login page that I can log into here. And you'll see that it's got some familiar elements that you can actually put into your Intune and sign-in portal. So it's got my company's logo on it. It's got maybe a company picture back here. So it seems familiar to the user, so the user knows that, hey, this is familiar. This is a site that I should be logging into. And here's the notification. If we were using like an Android application or an iOS application that does not have this modern interface like Outlook, what will happen is only one email will come down to that particular client that gives enrollment instructions on how to begin enrollment into the company portal. So within Outlook, I'm going to go ahead and click Enroll here, and it just leads me through step by step what I need to do to enroll this device and get access to email. To save some time, I've actually pre-downloaded the Intune company portal, but it takes me right to the application page where I can download it. And now I can sign in to the company portal. It would help if I spelled it correctly. And again, once I put in my username, that familiar interface comes up, and my super secret password there. So right now, we're in about, what, step 3 there, where it checks for the device. It's not currently enrolled, and really all I need to do is begin enrollment and check for the device compliance. And it explains, you know, why would you enroll your device and what happens to your personal data and that sort of thing. Really, and I'll demonstrate kind of that selective wipe later in the presentation here. So this is explaining what the company has access to do and the compliance policies that I've set in order for somebody to get access to email. And I'll go ahead and activate those policies. And it just takes a few minutes for the device to enroll. And I'll see things pop up here that say, hey, you need to set up a screen PIN or a password before you can use credential storage. So I'll just set a PIN here. In this particular case, I've set simple PINs to be allowed, so I'm just doing 1, 2, 3, 4. But you could set more complex requirements if you wish. And it's downloading the certificate so that all of the communications are encrypted between Intune and the device. And this may take a few minutes, so what I'll do is I'll hand this over to Nate here in a minute. But when the device is enrolled, you get a company portal access and email access. And the company portal gives you access to applications and other things that users are permitted to do within from within their device. And we'll go into that a little bit more. So, but right now I'll hand it back over to Nate, and we'll talk about our next section here.
Excellent. Thank you, Eric. So let's move on to managing mobile productivity. Most of the engagements that we receive from you as customers are viewing Enterprise Mobility Suite as a mobile device management tool, and it is, but it's just we wanted to make sure to show that that's not all it does. So let's move into the thing that a lot of people are identifying as the main core component of Enterprise Mobility Suite that they want to take advantage of. So Enterprise Mobility Suite helps to provide employees with secure and seamless access to corporate email and documents, as well as familiar email and productivity experiences with Office mobile apps such as Outlook, Word, Excel, PowerPoint, our tried and true favorites. EMS helps protect corporate data on the device itself and beyond with 4 layers of protection, all without affecting the personal data on the device. IT can even manage these apps without requiring the device to be enrolled for management.
Nate, that's a great point. I don't think any other solution offers the ability to protect your data while not having to enroll your device. So sorry for interrupting. I'll just hand it back to you, but I think that's just a point that needs to be made over and over again.
It's definitely a differentiator. Unsecured apps pose a serious risk for IT. EMS can ensure that you can provide your end users great apps that are secure and manageable. Remember that we pointed out earlier in the presentation that more than 80% of employees admit to using non-approved software as a service applications in their jobs. So next slide. We are going to show mobile device application and information protection. So manage and secure devices. So the mobile device management capabilities in EMS help organizations to manage and enforce device-level settings, such as encryption and password requirements that we saw from Eric a minute ago, and resource access profiles such as email, Wi-Fi, valid certificates, and VPN that enable seamless access to corporate resources. We also have Office mobile apps, so EMS integrates, of course, with Office, and it's the only solution that brings managed mobile productivity with Office across platforms, both iOS and Android, with or without a device enrollment. We also offer data level protection. So the information protection capabilities in EMS help to secure highly confidential documents, again, protecting intellectual property and protecting customer records, all those things that tend to get us in trouble, and it's doing it at the file layer. Employees can encrypt virtually any type of file, and they can set granular permissions and they can even track usage to ensure that only the right people inside and outside of the organization can access email attachments and documents wherever the files are. So here we're going to focus on the three big pieces of the MDM. So first part of that, again, is access management. Going back to conditional access, going back into compliance enforcement, and multi-identity support. And we were going to want to show you some of the built-in security features, so mobile app management and some of the encryption policies that are built into the EMS platform. And we really feel like this is going to offer you a gold standard experience. You get to use Office apps, which everyone's familiar with and everyone's trusted, and again, the adoption rate amongst your users because of the familiarity of the Office platform allows for a quick adoption rate.
Thanks, Nate. As we all know, we like to use our personal devices for both personal and work. And really, I think this is what sets EMS apart from a lot of the other platforms. The ability to store personal data and corporate data together and not interrupt the user's flow in using their device for personal data and securing only the corporate data that we care about. So what I'm about to show you in mobile application management, I'm going to demonstrate some of this to you. Within company-managed applications, whether the device is enrolled or not, and that's huge, we can open up an email attachment in our corporate email, and we can copy, paste, and save that data within other corporate apps. But within the same application, I can't paste that information or save that information into a personal app or personal data storage. So take Word, for instance. If I'm working on a personal Word document, I can save that anywhere I want. But if it's a corporate Word document, it will only allow me to copy, paste, and save that information in corporate resources or other managed applications. So that's what I'd like to demonstrate for you right now. And I'm going to pull up my my device that's already been enrolled here, and we're going to take a look at again. Let's take a look at this company portal just for a second, just so you can take a look at what's here. These are applications that I published out to my Android users. I can use OneDrive, My Apps, PowerPoint, Word, remote desktop, RMS sharing, all of these different applications that you can deep link into publishing within the company portal. Really what's going to happen here is if I click on these are deep links that just go into the Google Play Marketplace. So or I can have line of business applications that I self-publish. I can also manage my devices from within this company portal as well. So if I want, I could delete this from enrollment. I could actually do a selective wipe, and I'll show you that here in a minute. And I also have access to information that maybe I'll need if I need to contact IT for any particular reason. So I can go to a support website, I can contact them via email or by phone. So let's go into Outlook here, and let's look at, here's a message that you can set for your different applications that your IT department protects company data in this application. And I'm going to show you a couple different things here. I've got a personal email account that's midwestcloud@outlook.com, and then I've got my corporate email account here. I just want to show you that so that you can see that when I do a selective wipe later, that only the company data is actually removed and all of my personal data remains. And so that should remove huge apprehension for your users to enroll their devices once you explain this. So here I've got an email from Alex, and it's a proposal documentation, or it's a proposal doc that I want to open up that belongs to the company. No, I don't want to rate Word right now. Okay, so right now, if I want to save a copy of this document, I'm gonna click on Save a Copy here, and let's say I want to try and save it to this particular device. I'm going to receive a message that says your IT group doesn't allow making copies of this particular file. Now I can save it to other corporate-owned resources like OneDrive and that sort of thing, but not in places that aren't allowed by policy. I can also not copy and paste outside of protected applications or corporate managed applications. So if I click here, and I am going to click on the copy button and just copy parts of this. If I go to open up Google Docs here, and I'm going to fire up a new document. And just so you know that I'm in this document, I'm just going to type in hello world. And I'm going to hold my finger down here and I'm going to hit paste. And nothing happens. However, if I were to go back into my corporate email and want to fire up a new email to somebody within the corporation, I can paste that right into the, of course the formatting didn't save because it's a different application, but that allows me to keep company data safe within, from application to application. I can also, if I want to open up other documents, let's close this one here. And let's say I want to open up other documents that are within my OneDrive here. And let's open up this purchasing permissions. And again, if I want to try and do a save as, this device, it's not going to allow me to save copies of this file in unapproved places. And you can actually set these application management policies on a per app basis. So I'll show you an example of that. When I open up my OneDrive here, I've actually set a per application management policy that requires its own PIN to get into OneDrive. So I'm going to click OK on this. And assuming I haven't been in this application in the last half hour, it should ask me for a PIN. So there it is. So I'm going to put my separate PIN to access this particular application, and I'm going to hit next. And the screen just blanked. What is that all about? Well, it took me a while to figure this one out, but the management policy for OneDrive that I have implemented right now does not allow screenshots. So since I'm doing application sharing on my desktop with my actual device, it actually thinks that it's taking a screenshot and it blanks the screen. So that's important to remember. And lastly, I will show you what it looks like to selectively wipe this device. So if I go to my devices, and this is the device that I'm on, and I'm going to click the little trash can to remove this device. And remember, IT can kick this off, or I can do this myself. I'm going to go ahead and remove this device, and it'll take a couple of minutes here. Actually, I don't think it'll even take that long. Yeah, I'll just give it a minute here. And I'm already getting notifications up here that your IT group has reset Office and all of these things. So it's removing the company data. Let's see if it has affected Outlook yet. Yes, it has. Okay. So I'm not going to let that finish. That might take a couple of minutes longer, but you'll notice that my personal email account is still here. I still have access to everything that I had before, except I just don't have access to that company email account any longer. So, and really that's all I really wanted to demonstrate with mobile app management in this particular demo. I'll hand it over to Nate, and we can kick off the discussion on why we think EMS is really a comprehensive solution. So go ahead, Nate.
Thanks, Eric. So I've been doing IT consulting for over 15 years, and I've sold a lot of competing products. And it's very difficult to compare this to a lot of other mobile device management solutions because, again, feature to feature, there's just so much more that Enterprise Mobility Suite is doing. It's an identity management tool, it's a rights management tool, it's a mobile device management tool, all kind of rolled into one. So this truly is a completely comprehensive tool set that doesn't really have an equal out there. So we want to share some statistics with you real quick. So IT organizations will dedicate at least 25% of their software budget to mobile application development, deployment, and management by 2017. A lot of these statistics we're getting from Harvard Business and a lot of different organizations out there that study this. Over 50% of large organizations will invest in enhanced enterprise mobility management capabilities to secure those apps and that data by the end of 2016. 33.1% of enterprises will have mobilized at least 4 to 10 applications for employees to use. By 2017, 100% of the line of business apps in customer-facing roles and 75% of LOB apps in internally facing roles will be built for mobile-first consumption. And by the end of 2016, only 15% of large organizations will have adequate mobile security governance for processes and policy. So the big things we want to show as far as flexible architecture is that everything is always up to date. You're getting real-time updates, and you're able to keep up with all the new devices and the new apps that hit your network. And it works with what you have. Again, we do not have to invest in new architecture here. We do not have to make sure that everyone has a brand new device. It'll support iOS, Android, and Windows. And again, it's very simple to set up and connect. In order for users to adopt security policies and principles, they have to be easy. And so we feel like this is definitely the way to go to, again, encourage people to use and get on board with those security policies from the get-go. The next slide we want to show you is essentially how we're going to save you money. That's the biggest piece. How do we get the people that write the checks to get on board? So this is what we want to show. Rather than having to break out all of the tool sets that we've been talking about, instead of having to go out and buy an identity and access management tool, which again, we've quoted some sources here, but let's say it's from another vendor, mobile device and application management, data protection, and then on top of that, advanced threat detection, which we haven't seen anything that'll parallel that. We're finding that when you start compiling all of those other things, we're talking about $18 roughly on average per user from an assortment of other vendors. And then for Microsoft EMS, retail per user per month is $8.75. And as, of course, in the Microsoft sense, they're always getting creative in ways to make that more affordable for EA customers, MPSA customers, and the like.
Great, thanks, Nate. And lastly, I just wanted to show this slide to show the different components again to revisit, what's available in the Enterprise Management Suite. And so first, with Identity and Access Management, we have Azure Active Directory Premium that allows single sign-on for like thousands of cloud and on-premise applications. We have Microsoft Advanced Threat Analytics, and I anticipate that we'll have a webinar dedicated directly to Microsoft ATA. Again, it identifies the suspicious activities and collects that telemetry data and uses machine learning in the cloud to really churn and understand what your users are doing on a daily basis, and really, if they try to access resources that they don't normally access, or they access from places that they don't normally access, it really surfaces those anomalous activities to IT so that they can act upon them immediately before data is stolen or compromised. And then you've got Microsoft Intune that allows you to manage your mobile devices, onboard those devices, and apply those policies to applications. And last, you have that information protection layer through Azure Rights Management. So whether the documents that you share on a thumb drive or via email to those partners, to those business-to-business relationships, you can ensure that only people that you want to have access to that data have that access, and you can revoke it if necessary later. Nate, I'll hand it back to you, but I want to thank everyone for joining today, and Nate, if you want to wrap it up.
Absolutely. So everyone, we're right at an hour. We appreciate you taking time out of your busy schedules to come and hear a little bit about Enterprise Mobility Suite. Again, we're going to hand it back off to Patrick here in a minute for a call to action, but if at any point you feel like there are things that you want to dive into further, if you would like a more personalized demo or even a proof of concept, Microsoft provides funds for those, and we have the resources to be able to assist you there. So we want to open it up to Q&A. I'm going to hand it over to Patrick. So Patrick, is there anybody asking any questions below?
They are a very polite audience, which I appreciate, but I haven't seen any questions as of yet. So if folks do have questions, feel free to add them to the question window now. We're opening up Q&A. And if not, we can certainly follow up and be a resource thereafter. But feel free to type away if there are questions. It doesn't look like we have any at this point, so I'm going to pause there and say, firstly, our thanks again for a great opportunity to be with you. This is definitely a hot topic for a lot of the clients that we work with, and it's a great chance to share some of the latest and greatest that we have. So certainly we do have an opportunity to assist you with the Microsoft funding or exploring further within your organization. We'll be following up with an email tomorrow, see if you have questions or we can be of additional assistance. And of course, if you want a copy of the presentation, we'll be glad to share it. For now, on behalf of Eric, Nate, and our entire Integration Partners team, I'd like to thank you for attending today. We look forward to keeping in touch and the opportunity to support you further. Thanks again.